So what do I overcome? First, let me say good morning or good afternoon to those who I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with this morning. Life comes at us, and we can't predict how it's going to come, how fast or how slow. And at 61 years old, I've had quite a bit come this way. And I shared earlier that I'm from a family of 10 siblings, me making 11. So you can only imagine, we only had 8 seats at the dining table, so you were always trying to figure out where you were going to sit. And I'm a middle child, so I never really got to the table because I was always offered my seat. And so over the course of my adult life, I have 2 young adult children, a 29-year-old and a 30-year-old. And I really tried to be the best mother I knew how to be. It's just such a gift that God would allow us to birth children, and even those who haven't birthed, to mother children. I didn't always get that right. There were many times from the very beginning that I didn't know what I was doing. And so parenting was a challenge, but a sweet challenge. Just living, moving to California was a challenge. Staying in with my siblings was a challenge. And I shared a bit this morning how I decided that my brothers, 2 of them weren't doing right by my mother, so I was going to be upset with them for the rest of our lives. And a sister, I called one today. Because I thought I just had enough. And then fast forward, my 3rd career, I'm a life coach, and I've been a coach for almost 20 years. And taken a lot, and the being busy part. I figured if I step out of my life for a moment and just help other people, then I may not have to pay attention to everything that was going on in my life. Oh, I was so wrong about that. And then my life got even extra full, because the people that I work with are mainly public people, and it requires a lot more than just a one-on-one. You take on their stuff. But I'll give you 2, maybe 3 things that I've learned. One is the moment that I decide to step out of my shoes into someone else's, I have left mine empty. So just hold that. The moment you decide to step out of your life, regardless of what's going on, to spend all of your time in your children's lives, your siblings' lives, your husband's life, the community's life, your life is empty. Second lesson I have learned, if you would give me 1 more minute, that when my mother was making her transition, and I really wasn't ready for her to go, because we had a strained relationship for a number of years. And this was, we were now in the space where I was 50 years old before I heard my mother say, "I love you." That might fit for somebody in this room. And so once I got that, you know, that thing is juicy. When your mama tells you she loves you, and she's proud of you, and she's got a whole army of other kids she could be talking to when you get your real turn. You just don't want to let that go. So every time she would get to the point where we thought she was gone, I would pray her back. You can't go now. And then a really wonderful friend of mine, and yours, perhaps some of you all, Iyanla Manzan. I called her one morning. My mother she was trying to make her transition peacefully, and I was just interrupting it with prayer. And Iyanla said to me, "So what is it? What is it?" Because she's done all her work. She got all them kids. She did all her things. She gave. What else do you feel you need from her? What do you need this woman to do? I couldn't think of a thing, because she had already given me the best gift. She told me how much she loved me and how proud she was of me, and she was spending time with my children. I mean, what else She said, well, if you would step out of yourself for a minute, why don't you just go to the side of her bed and whisper some sweet stuff into her ear and just let her go. Oh, Lord. That was a tough lesson to get. There's more, but I won't. I'll tell you the third thing. This same woman said to me, I had been betrayed. I thought so many times, you may feel that way too. And so at 16, my innocence was stolen from me. And so this same woman in Yonda said, you have to forgive everybody for everything. I said, everything except that one thing. That is never, ever going to happen. I am willing to stake everything on that. I am not forgiving the person for that. Forgive everything, everyone for everything. Who does that? Who can? We're human beings. We are not God. That's what I thought. And she said, oh, you won't be able to do that because you think it's about you. And y'all know who she is, right? So she's just going to give it to you straight. But I learned when cancer knocked on my door 19 months ago, that if I really was going to tussle with it, and if I really believed that I wanted to live my life, that I was going to have to come straight at cancer. But I couldn't come with all this stuff I was holding in my body. I couldn't. You see, you can't trick yourself. Like, we can trick, you know, we good. We are black women. We can do this. We can stand up and have our PhD in 5 minutes. We can do everything. We can dress paint up like nobody you could ever imagine, right? None of y'all knew I almost went to emergency at 4:30 this morning. Well, except my new sister, Melanie's sister, because we already shared our stuff. We both going to the doctor as soon as we get home, right, sis? Because we can dress up pain because that's what we learn how to do, right? But when cancer came for real, and the doctor said, stage 3, very aggressive, get a surgeon right now, and this might not work out well for you. Okay. I was going to either get it in that moment or not. So who you're looking at is I'm Barbara Perkins. I kick cancer's ass. Do it by myself. I got clear about what God had for me. I got clear about how I had to empty the vessel so that He can pour into me everything that I would need to do His work. That's a hard word to follow. You got it. To God be the glory. The things that He has done. I was 43 and for the first time had my only child at 43. Turned 18 2 weeks ago. I'm 60. But after my son was a couple of years old, I had, within myself, I knew that something was going on. Something strange was going on. I had a thriving law practice here in Washington, D.C. I opened up a group home in Maryland. At the same time, I got married at 40, 41, and had the baby at 43. The doctors here, well, what do you think?
you're stressed. Look at all you're doing. They never checked. They never gave me full screenings. So, moving forward, my mom lives in the South. I'm from Miami, but my mom and dad retired in Georgia. Florida, yes. South Georgia, South Florida. I was with her at her doctor's appointment, and I was telling the doctor, you know, some of the things that I had been experiencing, going on about 2+, maybe 3 years at that point. He says, well, your doctors didn't do this, they didn't do that. No. He says, how long are you going to be here? I says, well, I'll be here all week. I'm here visiting. He says, well, can you come in tomorrow? I came in, he took a full screening, did full screenings, blood work. He said, can you come and see me in 2 days? He said, but don't bring your mom. I said, okay, this is serious. So when I came in to see him, he asked me, he says, do you want to live to raise your son? And I said, yes. He says, well, my suspicions were confirmed. I had an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are diseases that attack your body. Personally, I knew something was wrong, but no one would tell me. He told me, he said, if you had not come to me or found out, maybe 2-3 months from now, you would have had a major heart attack or stroke. One of which you would not come back from. So I said, what should I do? He says, you have to change everything. And I said, everything? He says, yes, because you won't make it at the rate that you're going. So I called my husband, my son's father, and I said, I want to live. I want to live. And he says, well, I knew all along that something was wrong. But now that we know, you need to do what you need to do. And I did. I changed my whole life. I came back, I closed my practice. Luckily, I found some colleagues that took my cases, so the court allowed me to get out without any problems. I sold the group home. I placed all of the residents. And I went back south. And I went back with the intention of getting immediate medical attention, ridding myself of this disease, Graves, hyperthyroidism, but to another level. And talking to doctors, I said, I want to get rid of this disease. I have a lot. I want to go back to my life that I had. After about a week of planning and preparing for radiation, radioactive iodine, the therapy that's offered, a voice came to me and said, I'm going to heal you if you trust me. And I went back to my series of doctors because I brought in a team. It was not ever going to be one doctor anymore, as far as I was concerned. And I says, well, I've changed my mind. People do this every day. What are you changing your mind for? I says, I changed my mind because I'm going to be healed. And you told me there were options. There's a medical route, and that's the route that I'm going to take because I'm changing my lifestyle. I closed all my shops down because I want to live. It took me 4 years living in the South, making pennies and nickels in comparison to what I was accustomed to making. But that was okay because I was alive and I could see my son. I could play with my son. And I would go around and I would just, my background in law, I was in medicine at one time, but I transitioned and went to law school. But health was always a thing with me. So I would go around talking to people, and people were saying, you know, I was cured, but it took 11 years. 11 years. 7 years. 8 years. I said, Lord, is it going to take that long? But I persevered, and after 4 years, my doctor said, it's gone. So to this day, I still have all my organs. I take no medication. I barely take my vitamins like I should. But I always tell a lot of the young people that your goals and your dreams in life do not allow them to be shattered for anything, anyone. Stay in your lane. What God has for you is for you. And out of that, I was able to go back to school because I had nothing to do. Luckily, I was able to live and without having to work. I liquidated what I owned, and I was okay. I was okay, thank God I was okay. And I went back to school, and I got a 3rd degree. I went back and finished nursing because I was in nursing and I quit. And my parents were so upset with me, but that was my opportunity to go back and finish my degree in nursing. And today I live to tell people about their life as it relates to their health, as it relates to their business. Stay in your lane. Don't look to the left and see that sister or that brother ahead of you, or even those in back of you. Don't look to the right, but stay in your lane. Because the road that's for you is for you. If someone would have told me that at 60 years old I would be healthy, no medication. My family has a myriad of diseases. I have none of them. All of my siblings, I have none of them. And I'm pressing forward. Even at 60, I feel like I'm back at 20, pursuing so many things. So many things. So look for me. Look for me.
Sister Tamika. So I guess those are hard to follow, right? But you know, we all have a story. And as I was sitting here listening, one of the things that I think I'm learning to overcome is the need to just be an introvert. I'm always being busy and in folks' faces, talking, running my mouth. So sometimes I just want to be quiet, and I just wanted to disappear on the stage just now. Like, I'll just go over here and sit down over there and listen to them, you know, because you all have such powerful messages. And of course, I want to thank Melanie for having me to be here today. So, you know, I guess what I've had to overcome, I have 2 amazing parents who've been married over 50 years, but they raised us in the housing projects in Harlem in the 80s during the crack epidemic. And if you know anything about that, you know that it just ripped families apart. You know, and I tell people all the time that when you study that particular era, it's probably one of the only times that mothers sold their children, you know, for that rock. And I grew up around that. So I grew up in a building where they were either selling it or using it in almost every apartment around me, from the 20th floor down to the first floor. And you know, a lot of death. You know, people throwing their moms down the stairs trying to get that money the first of the month. And my parents were two stable individuals in the building. I think about my mom, how she used to hold the money for Nana and Miss Flossie and others who had children who were suffering with this issue. She used to take their money from them the first of every month and hold it and give it to them at different times for groceries and different things because they couldn't keep money in their homes. That's just how bad the situation was. But my parents, again, they were stabilizing forces, and they always had us in the movement, in the work. I always tell people that we were in Wakanda before the movie came out. My parents were in full regalia. They were really into it because they realized that it was either that or their children would die. Yeah. So they didn't have a choice but to try to keep us busy, as you were saying a few moments ago. Keeping us busy would keep us from getting in trouble, which we still got in a whole lot of trouble. But we were pretty busy, so that's how I'm sitting here today. Amen. And so I guess around 14 years old, my parents decided to move out of the projects to a place called Co-op City in the Bronx. And where we moved, how many of y'all know about Co-op City in the Bronx? I know, okay, good, we got some folks that know. And they thought, because when you walk up to Co-op City, even right now, it looks really nice. Like, you know, the buildings are nice, it's a co-op, it's great. They had no idea there was an underground. You don't know about it because they don't really report it because they don't want people to know, so that, you know, we got all kinds of folks that live in Co-op City that are pretty affluent, you know, middle class folks live there. They don't want you to know, so they don't report the shootings and the drug abuse and all the things that's happening. So, you know, when they moved me there, who did I find? The bangers. You know, I went and found them. My mom was like, what the heck? Like, we thought we brought this girl to a good place, and I just ran wild. And I met my son's father in an elevator one day. He was going up, and I was going up, and I was looking at him. I was 15 years old, and I was like, ooh, he's so cute. And he probably would have a Me Too case right now, you know, because he was 19, and I was 15. And we met in the elevator, we started dating, and 3 weeks into the relationship, we were completely violent. We fought like cats and dogs all the time, just had no business trying to be married, basically, because we were living in the same building, so we did everything. I didn't go to school, I dropped out, everything went wrong in this relationship, and he also didn't do well. His parents were perpetual drug users, and they also did not live in the household with him. His mother was in jail when I met him. And he lived with his grandparents. But how many of us know that living with your grandparents, it doesn't always get it, you know? And he had good grandparents. And still, his grandmother's alive today. She's a beautiful woman. She's a, you know, very positive person in my life. But my son, he just couldn't get it. Let me give him his name in this space, Jason. He just couldn't get it, because he lived in the house with other children who belonged to the parents. So they were his uncles and cousins, and they had their parents, and he didn't. And so he suffered. He was violent, he was angry, and I was in it every day with him, thinking it was cute, just running around being crazy and getting choked and fighting and cutting each other and all types of crazy stuff. My parents just really couldn't understand what was going on. Then I started running away from home. So my parents had to deal with that as well. Now, I want you to go back to the picture that I'm giving you, that I had these two Wakanda-like parents that were in the movement, and their daughter was a runaway who was violent with a guy in the building who was older than, who was over age, and she was underage. So they were tussling with me. And I would tell my father that I hated him. And one time I remember jumping up and grabbing a broomstick. And I was, you know, because I wanted to leave the house so bad. I was addicted to the streets. And my father looked at me and said, I could kill you, but I'm not going to. And he broke down and he cried so bad. I never forget that. I often apologize for that right now. That day when I just challenged him that way. Long story short, I found out I was pregnant, because that was the natural progression, right? that I would be pregnant. It's not that I hadn't been pregnant before that. They said, can we talk? So it's not that I hadn't been pregnant before that, but this was the time when I chose to use this baby to try to keep the man. So I decided I was going to keep this baby because he was getting away from me, and I had to figure out how to reel him back in. And God knows that, I'm skipping through, but we were living in a basement apartment because my mother was like, get all this stuff that belongs to you and put it on the outside of the door with the man there changing the locks. Like, you gotta go. It's too much. So, and I was okay because it was time for me to go. I left the house at 17 and I never went back. Still to today, I've never gone back to my mom's home. And so I moved into the basement apartment. And my son's father left one day, and he had one job, which was to bring back Pampers. He said he was going to get his check, he was going to get a coat, and he was going to get some Pampers for my son, and he would be back. When he came back, he had the coat and not the Pampers because he said he didn't have enough money. And I remember looking at him saying, oh, hell no. This ain't going to work no more. And what happened in that moment is that my son grew me up. Becoming a mother, I grew up just like that. Because I was looking in my son's eyes and I knew I had a major responsibility. My mom wasn't going to do the work. And what I learned about motherhood was washing the kids' clothes out by hand when they were a little newborn, because I thought if you put it in the washing machine, the baby would just break out and die or something. You know, my grandmother had us crazy, like, you can't, you know, when it's time to do solid foods, you don't know canned food. We don't use canned food. You gotta mash the peas, girl. You know, I had to figure all of these things out. And so I grew up, and don't try it at home because it might not work out the same for you. But I did have to grow up. And then my son's father was shot dead and left in a ditch for 2 weeks before his body was discovered. And that's when I became a woman for real. Because there was nobody to depend on, nobody to call on. It was just me and this baby. And I decided in that moment that I was going to dedicate my life not just to worrying about like what happened to him. It was deep, it was painful, but I had to dedicate my life to figuring out why these men even killed him in the first place. And I had a burning desire to understand the killers. And I don't know why, but I was obsessed with both sides of the gun. And I got myself so deeply immersed in that work. And then I looked at my son and I realized that doing that work was what would save his life. That it was me being engaged in the very thing that took away his father was how I was going to save my son's life. And so the only thing I would say is that whatever the circumstances may be, investing in solutions for our people sometimes is the healing mechanism to be able to do it.
I want to thank everyone. Amazing. Really. So, you know, we got some tools. We got to set our intentions. Right? We gotta find ways to stay busy and stay in our own lives. Right? We gotta pay attention. And I know a lot of y'all have similar stories. And I want to have you turn to your sister or whoever is sitting next to you and say, you are a miracle. You are a miracle. You are a miracle. Love for these sisters right here one more time. Thank you so much. Thank you. And as we get ready for a lightning round, because we had 2 o'clock, baby. So we need to round up what we need to do. No, I'm saying, but it's got to be quick, right? Talk to me. way. Share it with your sister right now as I call up the next set of folks. So I'm calling up Miss Helen Butler, Dr. Evangel Savage, Michelle Indy, Mom of Comedy, are you here? And I know Malika's here. So can y'all come up and join us, please? Family. If you're on the second panel, I would love to see you up here. Because you know how we do it. Miss Melanie makes sure everybody got a platform. Here we go, thank you. Oh, be careful that camera. Is everybody got a mic up there? All right, family, can we clap it up for this, our next panel? So, and what I also know is because, you know, we're running a little bit behind. So I know y'all gonna be elegant and hit it. And I appreciate y'all. I'm thanking y'all in advance. As I say, for your understanding. And so, y'all ready? Y'all ready to receive and hear and then share? Because I don't know about you, but I, you know, as old as I am, I'm always learning. Somebody's always got a word for you, you know? And my mama said, you know, if there's only two words that you remember in life, she says it's pay attention. Everything can go from there, right? All right, Miss Michelle, would you mind? And we're basically asking everybody the same question. If you would share, you know, something that has helped you get over. Come on. You good? You really want to go last? Okay, she said she want to go last, and I'm going to let her. So, and I know, Miss Helen, you're always so kind. You don't give me any trouble. I appreciate you. The only trouble you get white supremacy trouble, but not black women. And I appreciate that. Thank you. So we will go this way. Thank you.
Well, for me, the thing that I have found when I've been facing adversity, a lot of times I've been the one and only in a lot of situations. Things that were really happening to me. But the most important thing, and I'm going to be brief, is to say that you've got to have a support network that will support you no matter what goes on in your life, that you have that. And I have to say that I have a truly wonderful family that supports me no matter if I'm doing it right, no matter if I'm doing it wrong. But they are there to give me that guidance. And what has been most beneficial to me is that I've had strong women that really helps me to be who I am today. Starting with my school teachers, starting with my mother, starting with my grandmothers, and also with and making sure that no matter what adversity you face, you don't face it alone. You have someone there to support you and to love you. And I really appreciate that no matter what comes my way, I know I always have someone that will love me and will support me. And that has been most inspirational for me.
I'm going to try and wrap this up in maybe 50 years in 5 minutes. I just like to know who's in the room. Suffer domestic violence, raise your hand. If you know someone or who has ever suffered or thought about suicide, please raise your hand. If you know someone or have ever been in the foster care system or adoption, please raise your hand. If you know someone or have ever suffered from trafficking, please raise your hand. If you know someone or have ever suffered from substance abuse, please raise your hand. So it seems most people have been affected by something. I go back to a time sitting in my college classroom, having endured some of the worst atrocities in my life. 4 years of solid beatings and domestic violence by the only man I had ever known. I was that strong girl in college who took care of everyone. But there came a moment, even as a peer counselor, that strong girl needed help. And she didn't know where to turn. I sat there in my classroom that day thinking about class. I was looking at a play during that time called Colored Girls Who Consider Suicide, but the rainbow is enough. And as I sat there thinking about that, studying that, realizing that there was so much more to life, I was able to disconnect from that bad relationship, only to find myself in a downward spiral, many bad places, even more thoughts. It wouldn't be the first time I would consider suicide, nor would it be the last, maybe the second, the third. And then I'm going to reel forward to maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I was in that bad place again after 20 years of serving humanity. How many of you know that we can serve and puncture holes into a cup, and every time we do something in our society, we punch another hole. Eventually, the cup just has a bunch of holes. And if you don't when you pour into the cup, it just comes out. And so what we have to learn, and what I've learned after many years of serving humanity, is that self-care is an ethical mandate. And at that time, I wasn't taking care of me. I was just pouring into others, because all of the things that I went through, I now found myself in a place taking care of other people to keep them from experiencing the things that I was experiencing in life. And so I again found myself on the opposite side of things, suffering, until I met this amazing group of women. It doesn't discount this amazing group of women in this room, because all of you have been a part of my life and a part of my journey over the last couple of years. But more recently, there has been a group of women called Fearless Visionaries. All over the globe, we are empowering women who have suffered from the many things that I mentioned here today. We tore our veil on our stories so that we could live. And for me, so that I can stop thinking and know that my rainbow was enough and is enough. So all of the things that I went through, what I now understand is nothing will be wasted. When I think about those words real quick, nothing alone is a term, a societal term suggesting no potential. Shall in the future be this person, wasted, no purpose. But those words combined, nothing shall be wasted, means nothing at all, not anything, not one single thing in the days to come for us will be without purpose. Nothing shall be wasted. Today I take care of myself. Through fearless visionaries, a new sisterhood, I am a fearless visionary, and my rainbow is enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just do one more thing? I'd like to acknowledge a sister who came with me. Although I've never met her, we've co-authored together. I need her to stand. Terry Charles is in the room. Attorney Terry Charles came from Baltimore to support me today. And she's also a co-author in our book together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sister.
Tear the veil.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to thank Ms. Deborah Scott for the invitation to bring me here, Malika Redmond from Atlanta, Georgia, with Women Engaged. And I also want to thank our visionary leader, Melanie Campbell, for bringing us all together and just creating a space for us as Black women, because we are precious, we are important. And thank you for that, Melanie. You know, I'm excited to share with you sort of what I was given at birth. And, you know, my mother tells the story that when she was in her 3rd trimester, and my parents were trying to figure out what to name this girl, like, where are we gonna name this girl that we're about to have? And my mother said, well, you know what, I'm gonna ask her. And so she went to bed that evening and asked me in utero, what is your name? And she said, I wrote M-A-L-I-K-A in utero on her tube, on her fallopian tubes. And so my name is Malika, and Malika is Arabic for queen. And she said, you named yourself. You brought yourself into this world knowing who you are. And that was very interesting for me, because with her telling me that story, she implanted in me the kind of self-esteem and empowerment that I didn't know, now at 40 years old, that it would have taken me so far with all of the various obstacles and joys and challenges that I've experienced in life. But the thing that I realized was that if I dream it, if I hold true to it, if I discipline myself to learn it, I will have it. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And that was the thing that I say, thank you, Mom, for giving that to me and implanting that into my spirit and into my life. You know, I grew up Tamika Mallory was talking about growing up in the 80s. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Pittsburgh was that kind of, oh yeah, there we go. And Pittsburgh was that kind of place where we lost the steel mills in the 70s. And by the time we got to the 80s, when I was growing up, 1 in 2 Black men were unemployed. You know, it was a really difficult time. And so I don't say this to say that I had privilege, if you will, growing up to experiences to know. My circumstances didn't necessarily indicate that I would have that sense of thought. But what I did have was, and for all of us to be able to take away with, that our dreams are ours, our visions are ours, And we have every right to hold them true and dear, to fight for them, to have our families support us in having them actualized, to have our communities support us in having our dreams as Black women actualized. Our dreams do not have to play second fiddle to anyone. We are allowed to love, to dream, to hope, and to reach for what we want. And I just want to share that today. Thank you.
All right, can you all hear me? First of all, just give God the glory for these three women right here. And I hope you don't think I was trying to be difficult. I was trying to get my mind right, because out of the four women up here, I'm the only one that I believe is a professional stand-up comic, so I'm an asshole. And I get paid to do it, and so sometimes I need to shut the hell up. Because I find the funny in fear. I find panacea in laughter. I hear a lot of stories of heaviness and truth and growth, but I look for the funny because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so I wasn't trying to be an asshole, but I sat up here and I said, I got one that'll fight all the white people, because you ain't scared of nobody. She don't look like she could hurt nothing, but I promise you, in my spirit, I feel like you would hurt a white person. I mean, in my gut. Anybody else feel that spirit that she would just smack fire out of a white person? Just say something slick. Say something slick. And I know she know God, but I feel in my spirit. I promise you, the devil don't like me. You see that? You see that? That's why I wanted to go last. I tried to help y'all figure this out. So we got sis that'll fight white folk. We got sis that's fearless, so she gonna join with her and fight everybody. You know, that came through some amazing things that helped you show up the way you show up right now. And then we got this sister, I didn't even know that it was Black people in Pittsburgh. To God be the glory. It's about 10 of y'all. And I see you, Bunch of stealers, I see you. The devil. So let me jump in so we can get out of here. I am Michelle. I'm known in the industry as Michelle, the indie mom of comedy. I've been here supporting my big sister, Melanie Campbell, as often as she needs me. Often I come from New York. I'm originally from Baltimore. I heard it was a sister in here from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm from Park Heights, which is synonymous with every other neighborhood that has the good, the best, the bad, and the worst all in one place. I am a mother of 3. I have been married to the same man for... It's like spades. I'm at 19 and a possible, just trying to make board, but be clear. I'm about to renege. I want y'all to understand, I told you first. I'm up for parole. I can't get no help in here. I'm on work release as we speak, and they negotiating my terms of exit. I can't get no grown women in here. I am on parole soon, because I promise you, if it's between me and you, it's gonna be me every time. I'm gonna win every time. And be clear, ladies, I love marriage and I love motherhood, which is why my moniker is the indie mom of comedy. But what I want to share is that in the 19 years of being institutionalized, I have been institutionalized. And you know, you'd have met people that's been institutionalized. And I'm telling y'all, when I get out on parole, I know I ain't gonna be out here long, because I'm tight in the waist and cute in the face. I can't get no grown women in here to tell the truth about how you look when you look at your goddamn self after giving birth 3 times at home with a midwife with no anesthesia and breastfeeding everybody once everybody got a year of my breast milk, which is why I have nothing, but because I believe women have a tendency to fall in love with falling in love, and fall in love with motherhood, and fall in love with marriage, and forget that they had dreams, huge, big, enormous dreams before I met your 4-degree ass. Before I met you, I was already popping in these streets. Before I met you, before I birthed one of your kids, I could catch a man before I catch a cold. I can't get nobody in here that really want to be real in this place. I guess we just gonna tell stories and get mad. We forget how amazing we are in the midst of marriage and motherhood. And I'm telling you, it is the biggest tragic flaw that we all have. If you don't get nothing else from me in these next 2 seconds, understand that I am always clear that I will look like the girlfriend. Did you hear me? Every time I leave the house, you're going to be nervous. I want you to be concerned. Every time I walk out that goddamn door, I want you to understand. Don't get it confused. Get your mind right. And we celebrate this goodness and our resiliency and our ability to socially galvanize all the fortitude that we have as women. Understand, also use this in your personal walk. Make sure the people who share your DNA and your address get that you are a God. Stay with me. A God, G-A-W-D, a grown-ass woman, darling. Make sure they understand that. You are God's. A grown-ass woman, darling. And I promise you, before I let you and these children kill me, I'm going to get everything that God has for me. Because Jeremiah 29:11 says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future. I wish you would sit on your future because of that man. I wish you would sit on your hope because of them 3 children. God made a promise, and God is not a man that he should lie. So if you want everything God got for you, move away from that table, honey, and sit there and walk your ass around that track and drink you some water and do what you got to do to look like this at 49. And when you turn 50, make them chase your ass down the street. What's your phone number? Can I take you out? Do you want? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I really didn't. I really do know the Lord. I know it don't seem like I know him, but God is my friend, a very present help in the time of trouble. And so if you get nothing else, be clear. I'm coming out of this, right? I'm on parole, but I'm a recidivist. I'm going back in. I got one on the hook. I can't get no grown folk. I already know that I'm a wife. So be real clear. Never be fearful to let go of what's no longer healthy, because God has a ram in the bush always. And your children will be fine. And your children's children will be fine. And when, like my big sister, y'all don't even understand, when she said that cancer came to take her out, she saw me in November, and right after we got together, I didn't even call her, but I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed November right after Thanksgiving. I don't call it Thanksgiving because they ain't give nothing to the Indians. Do your research. They didn't give nothing to the Indians but syphilis and smallpox. So I'm not going to sit here and worship some white folk coming here. We're going to make a turkey. But stay with me. I got 2 seconds. And so I got diagnosed with breast cancer, and I didn't even call my big sister and tell her, because God understood that sometimes things have to happen for you to get your mind right and remember that you're called. And so I've been in treatment for 3 months, all natural, with my naturopathic and holistic practitioner. And I went back for my last scan, and they said, well, we don't see any cancer. So I'll see y'all tonight. I'm hosting the Sisters Award. I got more for you. I just wanted to just get here for 2 seconds and remind you that I am a God, a grown-ass woman.
All right, family. Y'all got some extra helpings, did you not? Did you not? So, you know, I want you to, because you know, the thing about black women is we beautiful no matter what shape we're in. I want you to turn to your sister and say, you fine. That's right, say it again. Because you know, all the way, you are beautiful. We want to thank our sisters for sharing their wisdom with us today. Really appreciate it. It has been so good. It's so good. And I want to bring up a sister who's part of the reason why it's so good. Come up here, Lisa Fager. Come on up here, BWR staff.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to tell you what's next. And look, we are on schedule. Hello, kind of, sort of. So it is 2:30 on the dot right now. At 3 o'clock we have It's All About You, Wealthy and Wise Day. We're having Healthy, Wealthy, Wise, Empowerment, Enrichment Sister Circles. So the first one is taking care of our minds, mental health and wellness, and that will be in Mount Vernon A. Got that? And then we also have survivors share their stories, living with your best life after a heart attack, stroke, or cancer diagnosis, and that is in Mount Vernon B. So that's very easy. Everybody go up one flight to the same direction. And then at 4 o'clock, we have wealth building sister circles, one that was very popular last year, which is entrepreneurship, tips on being your own boss to build wealth, and that will be in Mount Vernon A. And then living your best life like it's golden in your retirement years, which I'm looking forward to one day, that is in Congressional Ballroom B. Oh, and now we have 5 o'clock. Wise and in Charge of Sister Circles. At 5, lessons on telling your own story, and that will be in Meeting Room 15. Then we have Nothing Like a Degree from an HBCU. Hello. And that will be in Congressional Ballroom C. Now, I just want to ask if you're in the room, Renee Aldridge and Shamika Ebony, if you can meet me to the side. That's you. Oh, awesome. Okay, everyone, this is it. Oh, another announcement. Okay.
One quick thing. So let's give it up for Lisa and Adrian and Tanya and all of the staff. Angela, everybody, because you all know, you know how stuff happens, right? So one thing I just want to make sure we remember before we close is y'all remember why many of us have, those of us who registered on time and made sure we have on our red and our pink shirts, right? So how many folks remember Sister Ruby? Come on now. Y'all know we didn't hardly have any summit or anything without our sister, who is now an ancestor. So I want to remember, you're thinking about our heart health and how many sisters we've lost to heart health, to breast cancer, to too many things, right? So we wear red to remember that. We wear red to remember folks' stroke. My own mother is a stroke survivor. I know many folks here. So we just want to take a minute as we start to make our transition to think about how we get to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? There's a reason why. As our sisters have said, we want to be here for our people, right? And we want to not just be here, but be here well and be ready to take all the blessings and accept all the blessings and also circulate and give the blessings. So y'all ready to go into these circles and do some things? Give yourselves a hand. Thank you.
And we out.
You want pictures? Okay, they want pictures of y'all. Okay. I think he's gonna walk.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.